heck of a start.
No. First of all, I thought it was, probably as debonair of a performance as our offense has shown. It's the most yards we've gained since I've been the head coach here in a single game against a quality opponent. Eastern Washington's defense has played very well against some pretty good football teams, and for our offense to roll up and down the field as well as we did on Saturday, for the most part, was just an indication of how much maturity we're showing, especially in our offensive front. We were unable to hold the point, though, after we got the lead, and that had to do with a great kicking team breakdown. And we saw the vestiges of 2012 defensively as they threw over the top. They ran the ball up the middle and then to the outside, and they threw a short pass on the sideline and turned into a long touchdown. So there were some issues on Saturday defensively that we have not shown all season, and I hope they don't come back, because we've worked really hard defensively to overcome a lot of those imperfections, and they sure showed up again on Saturday. So a tremendous performance, though, by Luke Austin, who's in a co-starting role now with K.W. Williams. Great performance by Cam Richmonds, who's in a co-starting role now with Chad Hansen. We're going to play a lot of freshmen, or a lot of guys now in our skill group offensively. It's pretty cool for me to watch us have 30 of our 44 catches be made by freshmen. That should show you kind of where we're at in our program. With entirely an underclassmen offensive line, except for one junior, Jimmy Bagley. Pretty outstanding day offensively.
Coach, I got to switch directions on you just to get it out of the way.
Sure.
Ted Dawson, and the sports director in Bozeman, is doing a series on greatest Cat Grizz games, and he wants me to ask you about, I think it was the 0-2 game.
Right, the 0-2 game.
And what your thoughts were on that. Just 20, 30 seconds on that.
Outstanding performance by our defense throughout the day. The best game, a running back, a senior running back had ever played, Ryan Johnson, who had rushed for 1,500 yards as a junior in 2001 and 2002. In his last regular season game, had over 100 yards after contact in a game that was decided with a 10-7 score. And then a tremendous play by a true freshman quarterback who sidestepped the rush and threw the ball to a pretty darn good receiver in Junior Adams as junior caught a pass from Travis Lulay to give us the touchdown and the field goal, which gave us a 2-score lead with 6 minutes to go in the ball game. And we were able to hold off the defending national champions for the first win in, I think, 16 seasons or 17 seasons in the Cat Grizz game.
How did it feel to be able to do that?
Well, it was pretty awe-inspiring. When I went to Montana State, the goal was not to win games or raise APR or win a championship. The goal simply was to beat the Grizzlies, period. Day in, day out, 365. And we were able to do that in about 1,000 days.
I stood on the sideline last year at Jeld-Wen Field, and I want to say this the nicest way possible, but that was the worst game I've ever seen in my life.
That was a pathetic beat down by a football team that was in complete disarray, from head coach to the last player, and it was not representative of anything that we wanted to be or have ever wanted to be or aspired to be. It was a gutless performance by myself and my coaching staff, and it was a woeful performance by a football team that didn't believe it could win or compete on any single play.
Why was it gutless from you? What was the coaching staff issue?
I just wouldn't say it that way, and we'll move on.
Coach, a lot of your players on Twitter talked about they want revenge. Do you talk about that, or is it more we want to just do things better ourselves and move forward?
Well, before we use that R word, we better make the P word, which is we better play better at every position, regardless of who Portland State is or how they played against us. We've got to go out and make plays. I mean, there are a lot of the same characters that played in that game last year have to play better. They don't have to seek revenge. They just have to play up to their ability, particularly on defense, where defensively we're as anemic, pathetic, and sad as you can ever watch to see. And I'm talking about a linebacking core that returns a couple of guys that played last year in that game, Jake Pele and Trevor Spence. Those guys have got to play like they have never played before, because they were the guys that got run over last year. And Mitch Beckstead.
As of last week, they were the top yardage team in the Big Sky. Do you expect another game like last week up and down the field? Or
Portland State's a team that's in a little bit of disarray. We have no idea what they're doing at quarterback. They've played 3 different guys, and then last week played their tight end. their third-team tight end, Hayden Plinky, played tight end, had 10 carries for 79 yards. They're searching mightily for some sort of offensive consistency, even though they're gaining yards against everybody. They have a fearsome ground game, a great running attack. But it's the most head-scratching offense that I think we've ever coached against.
You told Jerry on Saturday it was a circus atmosphere with them. What does that mean?
Portland State brings elements to a game that other teams try assiduously to avoid, especially in kick game. When they line up to kickoff, it's never 10 across the board. They're always moving and sliding, slashing and moving before they even kick the ball. They always line up in some sort of fake, goofy fake formation on PAT field goal and on punt team. So the measure of our ability defensively and in kick game is to not get outflanked and not be caught unaware by some sort of freaky formation that we don't ever see.
They, last year, I watched on their sideline, and it was laugh and joke, and I hate to say disrespectful, I wasn't playing in the game, but that's kind of how I felt. How much do you remember that kind of stuff?
I remember every single moment, every second. At 77-10, what are they supposed to be? I mean, it was a laugher, and we were the joke, and we won't be the joke this Saturday.
This team right now compared to last year's team against Portland State, what's different? What do you expect to do different?
I don't, if you'd asked me this question last week at this time, I would have said, look at us defensively. But coming out of Eastern Washington, didn't it look like 12 to you? It looked like it to me. So I'm afraid to find out what we are. Are we the team that gave up 1 touchdown to Southern Utah, or the team that gave up 7 touchdowns to Eastern Washington? I don't know what we are. And I've been challenging us all week at the end of practice. Hey, I don't care what you are, but at least define who you are. Get out there and define that. Make sure you make a definition that we are the team that held Southern Utah to 1 touchdown, and we're not the team that gave up 7 easy touchdowns to Eastern Washington.
Mike, you happen to draw Eastern and Portland back to back. 2 high-powered offenses, but 2 very different type of offenses. Is there anything you can take out of the Eastern game to prepare you for Portland, or is that all out the window and you're starting from scratch?
Absolutely, Mark, none. It's like eating chocolate pie with whipped cream. The chocolate is not the whipped cream, and they are totally different. Totally different. It's a severe challenge for our defense to play against a run-oriented offense that is mean, wicked, and nasty, and they will get after us running the football.
Coach, it's senior night on Saturday. Talk about
Senior
your
night,
seniors.
last home game for 10 seniors, actually 12 seniors. One won't be in attendance. Jared Daniels concussed his way out of the program. Austin Baker was not healthy enough ever this season. Has actually served as a member of our coaching staff this season. 8 of the remaining 10 have already graduated, which is pretty darn awesome for us, and have played this season as graduate students. The cool thing about this class is that this class was confronted with an academic obstacle that had to be surmounted before the program could go forward. And they not only met the challenge, they exceeded all expectations. Their overall GPA and the subject that they majored in to get their undergraduate degree was not easy. And to them, the rest of us and the future of this Idaho State football program owes a tremendous amount of respect, because in order for us to become a good team, we had to have practice time back, scholarships back, and this is a class that provided that for us.
You didn't recruit these guys,
No.
but they lived up to your standards to be able to stay with the team and play and compete.
Jason, I think that's probably the coolest thing about this is that there's a couple guys in this class that we recruited, and there's a lot of guys in this class that we adopted. And they have done nothing but sew the thread and the fabric of what we want to be together. Because socially, they've been fantastic. Academically, they have been above reproach. And athletically, they have had to overcome some severe limitations. There's a number of walk-ons in this class that earned scholarships. And that means that they actually walked through the door here and said, hey, how can I help? What can I do to help? And that was done before we even got here. So I'm proud of these guys. They've gone through, just like we have, they've gone through 25 defeats with myself and our coaching staff, and only 6 wins. They have 3 games left in November of their senior year, and we want them to have a November to remember.
Mike, last night, Mayor Blad won re-election.
Awesome.
What is your interaction with him? He seems to be everywhere.
Well, he's a politician. Isn't that what they do? And the paw prints on the ground that lead to Holt Arena and to Regym are a reflection of Mayor Vlad's continuing understanding that while athletics do not define a university, they sure enhance its reputation. And the one thing I think our university is starting to recognize that you can have all the academic excellence you want and all the financial and fiduciary responsibility you can muster, but your athletic programs have got to be above standard. And one thing we're trying to establish here is that you can be academic and athletic, and Mayor Blad totally understands that mission.
Is it nice to have support from the top level of the government? Because, like I said, he's always at these games. I always see him.
Well, I'd like to play him at cornerback, too. I mean, especially last Saturday, get him in the ball game. He's about tall enough for a cornerback, and he's a pretty tough and intense dude, and I think he could play pretty well, rolled up coverage. I don't know if he could cover deep, but I think he could lay in the flat and knock somebody around. But congratulations, Mayor Blad. And, the resurgence of the city of Pocatello and the city of Pocatello trying to gain a more widely known positive image can only be enhanced by the presence of Mayor Blad and how his continuing efforts to make sure that Pocatello is viewed as a city that's progressive and with it, not necessarily a city on the decline.